Before I dive into the best learning method, let me read a small paragraph from A Mind for Numbers to show you how intuitively we go about learning, and it may not be the best way to do it.
In my laboratory, for example, we have surveyed college students about their learning. They most commonly use the strategy of repeated reading, simply reading through the books or notes over and over again. We do it because we fall prey to the cognitive illusion. When we read material over and over, the material becomes familiar and fluent, meaning it is easy for our minds to process. We then think this easy processing is a sign that we have learned something well, even though we have not. And I did my own mini research, and the results were almost similar. So what then is the correct way of studying?
To actually remember, learn, and form conceptual understanding, you need active recall. Active recall is a learning technique that involves creating questions about a topic and then repeatedly testing yourself on those questions. It's considered more effective than passive review because it forces your brain to retrieve information from memory instead of simply recognizing it. This strengthens the neural pathways associated with the information, making it easier to recall in the future. I'll get deeper into how we can learn using active recall, but first, let's understand why active recall. Primarily, our memory formation involves three key steps: encoding, consolidation, and retrieval. Encoding is the initial processing of information into the memory system and can occur in various ways, such as through visual, auditory, or semantic means. Let's take an example. Let's say I'm studying the revolt of 1857. First time, I would probably read through the chapter and try to get a gist of it. Post that, I will try and remember few of the important topics such as where did it start, how, who were the main players involved, and what was the repercussion of all of this. When you're encoding information, much of it is being stored in the short term or the working memory. So the goal for us is to transfer it from short term to long term, and that's the second process of memory formation: consolidation. After encoding, memories are initially fragile and vulnerable to disruptions. As we saw through the forgetting curve, that the very next day of learning something, you forget about 75% of it. And it's during consolidation that the process by which these fragile memories are stabilized and strengthened over time. Why can't the brain just store everything I've learned? Revision feels like such a waste of time. You do a lot in a day. On average, according to research by Cornell University, there are about 35,000 decisions being made in a day. New information coming in and going. Our brains cannot store every detail of every experience we have. Instead, it selectively encodes and stores information that is deemed important or relevant. So things like what you ate last week, or what was on the grocery list, or what was your friend's phone number are forgotten, and sometimes even what you read. Well, your brain does not really understand what's important, so it needs to be reinforced sometimes. When you actively recall and space your revisions, neural connections associated with the newly formed memory are strengthened through the process such as the synaptic plasticity. This strengthening enhances the stability and durability of the memory trace, making it less susceptible to decay or disruption. Each time you recall a piece of information, and the harder you try through active recall instead of just repeating it, the better the corresponding neural connections are reinforced, making it much easier to retrieve the information in the future, and also signaling the brain on the importance of remembering it. Consolidation is not an instantaneous process but occurs gradually over time. So that's why you need to be patient with your learning and space your revisions. And finally, the last process of memory formation: retrieval. This is a process of accessing information whenever it is needed. And if you have not done the encoding and consolidation properly, retrieval of information during exams can get tough. But with spaced revision and active recall, remembering anything in the world can get as easy as remembering 2 plus 2 equal to 4. Remember, your brain has unlimited capacity to store information. You just need to know how. To some extent, we are familiar with active recall. It's when you're studying, you try to answer without looking or giving test series to test yourself. But there is a better way of doing this, and let me show you how. As I'm reading the text, I take note of the important points, questions that are likely to appear or have appeared in the past years, and of these I form questions. I know these questions need to be actively recalled, so I go to the website of Space Revision and jot them down. So, the next time I'm revising, I go and try to actively recall. If I can, I press on perfect. That means I know the information for now, and when I should be revising next is automatically calculated through the formula of the forgetting curve. But if I can't, that means I need to try a bit harder and revise this one more frequently, which is again automatic. Well, according to science and loads of research, this is the best way of revising, active recall. And it may be difficult than simply rereading because you're really pushing your brain to think and answer. You're putting a lot of mental load on it. But I know it'll help you in the long run. And this is how Space Revision will transform your learning through the process of active recall and, well, spaced revisions.